Cool. I have much more faith that this will work well. There we go. So now, documents. All right, can you all see that?
I see like a grayish brown or bluish with streaks, diagonal lines.
Oh my God, why doesn't it work? Why does nothing work? So, okay, stop share. Let's fucking kill you. Let's just try this. Share screen. Okay. Yet again, what about this?
A black screen.
Oh, dear Christ. Okay. 2 more seconds. Fucking hell. Why does nothing ever work whenever you want?
Have you tried turning it on and turning it off again?
I'm tempted.
Do you use Zoom at all for your work? I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
What the hell? I think God is cursing our meetup right now.
It's not good, man. I could send everyone the slides and we can all just thumb through them. I'm joking. I'm trying to get this to work.
Yeah, it's strange. It says you've started the screen share, but yeah, I don't see the screen share.
Maybe my internet has just gone to shit and I'm unlucky.
Well, I see you just fine. It seems like permission related. Do you have like an external monitor or something plugged in that might be?
Quite literally, man, no, it is just a fucking bone stock computer. And I'm just trying to share the built-in display.
Maybe restart, and then in the meantime, Justin, you said you have a quick talk you can give.
Yeah, I got like the caching one. I got like the generator one. I mean, I'm looking at my list of talks that I've got that are kind of on hand. There's the middleware one, generators.
I'm trying to think if we've recorded those or not.
Yeah, there's a CS fundamentals one that I did at one point. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking to see. I have a couple lightning. There's a unit test lightning talk, but it's literally a lightning talk, so it's like 5 minutes.
Stop this. All right, one more Hail Mary.
I got a BHAT lightning talk that's really old, 2016.
Justin just rattling off all these talks like a Rolodex.
Holy
over there.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, totally got it, Robert.
It works.
Fucking hell, man.
Very bright.
Don't touch anything.
Well,
I know, yeah. I'm starting to see horizontal lines again. No, there. No, it went away.
No, hold on.
Oh, there it's back.
And is it good? Is it sharing properly?
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't look like if you did presentation mode, it's still in the we're still seeing just like
Hey, it's working.
Yeah.
No,
Okay, fuck it.
There's
This
the
will
problem.
work.
You're using Windows.
This will work.
Yeah.
This will work.
I will say, guys, this has been very good for my soul for this. Thank you very much.
Holy shit. Okay, cool. Great. I have the slides open. Is it the best presentation format? Probably not, but it works. So I'm not going to complain. Anyway, wrangling Renovate bot. a tool to save you from maintaining your dependencies. So who am I? I am Robert Cox. I'm an engineering manager currently. If you want to hit my website up, that's my website. You can find me here on GitHub. Give you a little more background. Currently, I'm an engineering manager for the front end team at Slick Deals. And I lead a team of engineers, and we're working on client-side technologies that leverage TypeScript, JavaScript, and Twig on top of a Symfony and vBulletin stack. Honestly, pretty exciting work, and I enjoy it. So now, what the hell is Renovate Bot? Renovate Bot is a few things. It's a tool for updating dependencies. It's open source software, and it's developed by White Source. So like whenever I say tool for updating dependencies, the way Renovate Bot works is it essentially scans in your repo. It'll generate a config for you. And then from there, it periodically runs jobs and essentially checks your, in our case, since we're a PHP project, our composer JSON, and then essentially just, lets us know, hey, you have updates, and it'll automatically update it and submit a pull request back to your repo. So that way you can, take action on it, whether or not you want to accept these changes, disregard these changes, you can tweak it and fine tune it, et cetera, et cetera. Open source software, that's good for obvious reasons. I mean, I think all of us are employed because of FOSS software, and, I personally use it every day, run Linux, run Windows, obviously, which isn't FOSS, but they've started to get the WSL, which is something I use regularly on Windows. PHP is an open source language. A lot of the standards that we follow here in the web are open source. So, good stuff there. And then there's White Source. White Source is a company that develops this software. And, they're a relatively speaking solid brand. They have a lot of open source projects. They've got a good presence on GitHub, and they have a lot of cool tools. So now then, why is this useful? Automated dependency updates. If you've ever had to maintain a set of repositories and the dependencies that go along with them, you know how much of a nightmare that can be as your application and business scale. So for example, at William Hill, we ran a series of about 20 microservices. Each of those microservices had to be updated manually, and they were always out of date because no one was around to update them. It was always from the business, when's the next feature going to get out? When's this bug fix going out? No one ever cared about security updates or keeping, your libraries up to date and up to snuff. This kind of helps with that. So this essentially gives you an automated way to, keep things up to date, relatively speaking, at least as up to date as they can be without breaking anything. So, it's great for project maintenance because it removes a step that you as the engineer has to do. So like, instead of you manually having to go in, pull your repos, run your composer upgrades or your NPM upgrades, and then repush a pull request and all of that, takes all that rigor out of it and does it all for you. And ultimately, this offers a number of big wins with relatively low effort. I don't know if y'all have ever had to deal with constant security patches, but having the ability to have those automated for you and you not have to run an audit of your code and make sure all your latest bug fixes are in is wonderful. And again, this only gets compounded and worse as your organization scales. And instead of operating on a single repo, you've got, tens. And in some cases, I've heard of corporations having hundreds. I know at WebShield, we had like upwards of 50 at one point, which was absurd for a company of our size. I have no idea. The CTO did it that way, but he chose to. Onward to the next thing. How do you use it? So there's a couple of ways to use Renovate. One of them is through the CLI, which is an NPM package. So I believe for the most part, you can basically install and configure it as a hook. And then at that point, you can use the command line tool to do all your stuff for you. And the one we're going to be talking about is the actual GitHub Marketplace. So this is a GitHub app that automatically hooks into your repo. It'll go through, run itself on the repository, find out what dependency manager you're using for the project, how it's configured, what it's set up, whether or not you have additional configs for it, and then automatically start submitting pull requests to get your dependencies updated for you automatically. Really cool stuff. So now, as far as learning more, obviously White Source software is going to be your best bet, and then they actually have a presence on GitHub. So just to kind of, since we have time, I believe y'all can see this.
I was curious too about like setup for this project. Like I was mentioning earlier, I know I've seen a pull request come across on one of the projects that I'm on where they've pinned all of the exact versions that we're using. So instead of like, you know, the caret symbol or whatever, to like say anything below this or whatever, it looks like, you know, everything's pinned now. Do you have to do that, or can you like, is there, I guess, like setup you need to do before that this can start running?
So whenever we do the demo, I'll kind of show all of that, but for the most part, you can go as granular or as non-granular as you want. So you can either choose to pin everything, or you can choose to let it go full bore and upgrade everything. The demo is going to be one of the simpler ones to where you just basically let it go ham and do what it does. But I was just going to show the websites real quick since I'm not strapped for time and I talk fast. So this is the company responsible for it, and you know, they got a reasonable website. They have Bolt, which is another product, and then they have Renovate, which is the product we're covering. And then they also have a GitHub account, which again contains all their open source projects. So, you know, Renovate, all the Docker configurations for it, you know, all their stuff, Helm charts, et cetera, et cetera.
What's Bolt?
It's another piece of software they own. And it's another thing to where it's a GitHub app, but I believe, yeah, it's like the security side of the automations things from what I've read. It basically triages and interrogates things for you. Admittedly, I haven't done much research into it, but looking at it, it was pretty neat.
Got it.
So now on to the demo. And this is where the wheels fall off. So, oh, please let me be able to pull those tabs over. Yes. Sweet. So whenever you go ahead and start this project, how I started it was I essentially went to their GitHub app. It takes you to this page. Now the project is free, but it's part of GitHub Marketplace. So what you ultimately do is you set up a plan. That plan is free. So whenever you come in, you know, you can see I've already got a plan, but so this is my current plan. So if I cancel this, and let's just restart this whole thing. So we'll go ahead and complete the order and begin the installation process. Yes, you can view your current installation. Let's continue. It'll redirect you into your GitHub account. Last time, okay, yeah. So now we want to give it select repositories. In this particular case, it must already have access to that one. Let's give it access to another one. What's one that's good? Son of a bitch, I had one set up. There you go, this one's fine. So we can see here we've got access to RC container, which is a shitty dependency injection container I wrote. So now that this is good to go, if we come over here to this one, we can sign in with our GitHub account. And you can see here it's running a series of jobs, and it's got your repos you've given it access to here. So now if we choose Guzzleface, you can see that 2 hours ago it ran an initial job, and you can click into this and it gives you the actual output of what the job is doing. So it just basically starts, and then it goes through and, you know, checks for repository cache. It checks for all the initialization stuff. In this case, it's not going to find anything because I don't have anything set up. It then runs through a bunch of matches for CI and dependency management stuff. Start searching for Renovate configs, which is another repo you can set up to actually house your configurations for your repositories. For me, it's not going to find anything. It's going to set up a default and do all of that for me. Further down, it comes out and, you know, finds all the composer, finds your composer JSON, extracts your dependencies, does all the lookups for everything, pulls in the package file, creates the, you know, initial pull request, and goes through and submits it. So what that first pull request looks like is this. It basically says, welcome to Renovate. It's an onboarding PR. It's to activate Renovate, merge this pull request. So in our particular case, it's detected we use Composer. It's giving us a base overview of what it's going to do. Refresh this page. So we're going to go ahead and merge this. So now it's been merged.
What's in this PR, by the way? Just a config?
Yeah. It's literally just dropping in a Renovate JSON and it's extending the base config. So you can then take this and run with it and extend it and do all that stuff to it. Once that is done, you can see it's running another job, and that started 2 minutes ago. So now let's watch the output here. Again, it's going through the same thing. It's got the configs, found the ignore paths for everything. Goes through, creates the updates, runs any unit tests and shit that it has to do. It will then open another pull request, and you can pin the dependencies and update your dependencies. So now in this particular case, it's saying that it's going to change, 1.2 to 1.42, 7.4, 7.5.20, which is PHP unit and mockery. So again, you can choose to merge or not merge. And over here, it's updating Guzzle, again, doing the same thing, merge or not merge. In essence, it's doing dev dependencies versus non-dev dependencies. So like for dev dependencies, you probably don't give a shit. I don't care if my unit test tools are updated. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this one. Cool. All of a sudden, my PHP unit and my mockery, while still out of date because they're very old versions, they are less out of date. And my Guzzle is having a major version. Now, this one I may or may not want to do because I don't remember or know if 6 to 7 breaks anything. Given it's a major bump, it probably does. So this one I may leave open, do it manually, test it, make sure life's good prior to merging it in. And again, now we have our nice package over here, up to date and maintained. Cool.
So maybe a good workflow for this then would be like if you have like a develop branch as your default merge branch, you could like get Renovate set up, merge all of this stuff in, test that on some testing environment. And if everything looks good, then you can kind of do your live release or whatever. But if something, I guess, looks bad, then maybe revert the PR or whatever. But does every time that it would run, would it create that PR and you kind of just let it, you have to let it sit out there? Or is there a way you can tell Renovate, like, don't upgrade Guzzle to 7, like stick with this one or something? Or
yeah, you can control all of that through your config files here. And you can like tell it, pin certain packages, look at this, don't look at this, look at dev dependencies, don't. It's relatively speaking pretty flexible. And you're correct, yeah. In a perfect world, this would not be a shitty library I wrote and then left to die. This would be a proper application that you're using Git flow on, and at that point you could actually hook this all into CI to where you're monitoring for pull requests. Renovate pull request, cool, let's pull it, throw it on a dev environment, run a regression suite, everything looks good, cool, flag this as what could potentially be going out to people, and then have them manually review it. Or if you wanted to get fancy with it, automatically accept it. I personally wouldn't, but you can. And again, to your point, if things break, then your automation suite fails, just revert to pull request. And it's like it never happened.
how often does this thing run?
I believe that's also configurable. I've had it run once an hour.
Okay, is that the base config then? It just runs once an hour to kind of check if things are updated?
Yeah, at least that's what I've experienced. Yeah.
Okay.
It's honestly, it's really simple. It's really cool. And for like certain shit, I don't know why you wouldn't use it. Like my shitty little libraries here that, I use for some home stuff. I'll probably leverage this thing quite a bit just because I never keep them up to date. And it would be nice to have something do that for me.
Nice.
Yes. Cool. That actually worked. I'm shocked. So in conclusion, we've learned a few things here. Automation is nice. Anything you don't have to do yourself is wonderful, especially in regards to things for software maintenance. And, admittedly, this was a very rudimentary basic setup. It is by no means anything complex, but if you wanted to get a little more fancy, you could create CI pipelines that listen for these things. And at that point, you've got the ability to create some really sophisticated things for regressing your software, testing your software, keeping your dependencies up to date automatically, or with manual intervention, depending upon what it is you're wanting to do. Another thing we've learned, dependencies can be a pain depending upon your organization size, what your software size is like, how many microservices you're running. If you're even using microservices, it all matters. It all contributes to whether or not this is a reasonable or even viable tool for you. At some of the smaller organizations I've worked at, probably not. At some of the ones with a little more complicated microservice architecture, absolutely. And what's extra cool is Renovate actually integrates with a number of package managers. So, like Python, PHP, Go, Ruby, Node. Like, if you use a variety of languages in your stuff, then having the ability to have one tool that ties into NPM, GoMod, Composer, Pip, all of it is great. And the last thing we've learned is Renovate Bot can make your life easier. Yeah. So thank you for listening to me ramble. Thank you for letting me discuss a bot in front of you, which I'm certain is not the most engrossing tech to some people, but I've appreciated you guys letting me talk.
Thank you, Rob.
I got a question. Wait, am I reading this wrong? But it is completely free as the GitHub app, even for private repositories, right? Like it is completely free for any, like you only pay for it if you want to use it like on-prem.
Yes. Which I personally find weird, but I read
That is very weird.
That seems totally backwards. Yeah.
Like I'm looking at that and it's like, wait, I could install this on my company's, like my work's stuff, right? And it's like, no, it's totally free. And it's like, wait, what? There's not even an option for a paid option that I can see.
How old is it as a project?
It looks pretty old. It looks like Envoy, Mozilla, HashiCorp, eBay uses this, Uber, Red Hat, Lego. I don't know what Lego, I guess, yeah, Lego probably has tech. But yeah, it looks like a lot of companies use this. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how they make money.
With great difficulty.
So I do have another question. Dependabot, you know how GitHub kind of like defaults that for projects, and you'll get emails like, hey, your crap's out of date, and you're like, I don't really care, this thing is like 2 years old. I built it for a meetup, right, or whatever. It does, so this isn't necessarily checking for security issues or anything. All this is merely doing is just updating your dependencies automatically,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So maybe that bolt thing is like their answer to what Dependabot does for that part of it, maybe?
That was my understanding whenever I looked into it. It was like one of them is like an open-ended dependency updater thing. The other one is like a security auditing tool. That was my understanding.
Got it. Yeah. So this really can just work in conjunction with Dependabot in the sense of leaving Dependabot do its current job, which just scans your stuff. And then this goes and updates your stuff. Now, did you ever look if Dependabot does this, where it updates dependencies? I heard it does, but I never have confirmed that. So I was just curious if it did. So
I was researching Dependabot, and then you texted me to do Renovate. So then I switched over to Renovate.
Oh no, it's all good. I think Renovate sounded a lot better anyway. But
is there a known version of this for GitLab?
I don't think so. I think it's strictly GitHub app, or you go with the on-prem solution for other Git repos or Git providers, repo providers.
It does also have, like I'm looking at it, and it also has a CLI.
Yeah.
So it has an NPM tool that you can install, run it locally, and like it looks like looking at the npm tool, like if you want to just like, I don't know, run it locally or set up a build server basically that just like does that in the background, like you could do that for free apparently as well, which is just what?
Yeah, sometimes you get lucky, man.
We're muted, Devin. I don't know what you're trying to say.
I was gonna say, come down there over there, Justin.
This just is like crazy, right? Like it just, how do they make money? And yeah, it's been like for like years that they've been building this thing, right? So it's not like they like spun this up like 6 months ago and like.
Reading Dependabot's website, it does seem like there is this feature, albeit I've never tried it. But what's strange is on Dependabot's website, it says, we will update 5 of your dependencies each day until you're on the cutting edge.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know why 5 is like a number they pulled out of the hat, but yeah, it seems like Renovate's probably a heck of a lot better. But yeah, cool. Good talk, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was probably not the longest talk in the world, but I also don't know what else to have covered about it.
Oh, well, you know, another question I do have is like the JSON config. So there's docs out there then that show all the different flags you can flip on and off and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, so if you go to docs.renovate.com, they've got everything, like from getting started all the way through the configuration options.
I see it. Cool. Sweet. Justin, do you want to? I don't see on the YouTube channel any of those talks that you mentioned. So perhaps like the one that you feel is most up to date. You want to do a little quick one on that? And we can wrap up.
What was that, Josh? Sorry, you're kind of.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was saying if you wanted to give one of those talks that you mentioned, whatever you feel is probably most up to date.
Okay, I'm looking at 2020. I've got a generators talk. There is a basic PHP, which probably is not interesting to anyone here. 2019 caching and middleware. 2018 another generators talk. A CS fundamentals.
Maybe the updated the 2020 generators talk, because I don't see that one. I don't think we recorded that one.
Okay, I can do that one.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, I think the middleware one was the last meeting I went to.
Okay.
Justin, do you want to stop this recording and then start a new one?
I can splice them. It's fine. No, yeah.
You want me to stop it, Josh, or?
It's fine. If you want to hit stop and start, it's either way. I can always